Chapter 67. We'd not make Cadiz tonight. Gibraltar. Sailing through her was like pushing the shark uphill. The wind and currents blew her. We were sometimes standing still. But, thanks to Cap and De Lebec, talk of inflow and outflow change between the Atlantic and the Med in the way that they arranged, 'twas almost like a tidal shift. Sometimes flow swift west. That's when we filled the masts up quick and the shark would give her best. And then would come like a slack tide, and the sea'd head toward the Med. And if the wind wasn't favorable, we'd tack and let her ride and simply shake our heads. But after 6 long hours of grueling fight, we made it round the corner. We'd not make Cadiz tonight, but the distance is much shorter. Ah, nice to be back on the shark. I yawned, stretched. It was still dark. I ran to the old sailing master, to a sight I'll remember hereafter. Snoring sound at his desk, I laughed. Place still a disaster, my friend, Mars de Lebec. "Ah, lad, you're just in time. We'll soon have the chip here from Lyme." "You okay?" I asked my friend Mars. "Since you're stabbing, you just sit for hours." He shot back almost like an attack. "Well, maybe I just need more rest." And then more calm. He took my arm. Sorry, I was just musing, I guess. Lad, this cabin for sure will one day soon be yours." 2 sets of 2, the bells chimed. In came the green shirt and pants to his knees. Of course it was Lyme, precisely on time. And we sent Cap the course for Cadiz. Chapter 68. Slow down, girl. Cadiz, as a city, is really, really old. It's actually an island, or at least almost. I'd say it's a sandbar surrounded by the sea, but according to the Cap, a very important city. Great access to the sea just down the hill from Seville. She's steeped in history. Parts were destroyed by fire, raided by corsairs, and the English, whoever they are. Cap says Columbus, a name I'd never heard, sailed out of here over 100 years ago to find a new world. And here, a huge Spanish fleet is moored. And here, Spanish treasures and gold are stored. I knew none of this before. Cap told me I should read more. Aunt Harmon, Lyme, Rosanna Lynn, and I stood waiting eager at the rail. Crowd sensed this not the norm. Cap Willem in white uniform, while the crew was furling sails. From the crowd an old man came, dragging one leg, lacking an arm, rigid, determined, yet proud all the same, shuffling slowly toward the shark. "Permission to come aboard?" he asked. "Think you can manage?" Cap yelled back. "More to the point, Gene. Can you manage your daughter?" The old man straightened his back a bit. Then he stood there, leaned on his stick. His face fairly beamed. "You mean you brought her?" "Yes, we brought her along and 2 others, great-grandsons of dads and mothers. They belong to Frederick's boy, rest his soul." We didn't wait to hear the rest. Aunt Harmy, she ran along the rail, and though he was looking mighty pale, she was doing her very best to pull him up the ladder. He said, "Slow down, girl. I'll get there. Don't you see I'm old?" Aunt Harmy laughed. Didn't matter. She wanted to hold her long-lost father. Cap smiled. "Spittin' image, Gene." Shook his head and then said, "You see what I mean?" Epilogue. We spent 2 whole months in Cadiz. Completed our business, well, captive that is. We were paid for trip. Mars said a fair bit, and we spent the last fortnight at ease. When the shark went sailing again, our first mate, yes, it was Penn. Quartermaster Snell, well, he retired. Recommended young Chris, and he was hired. What became of old Snell, I know very well. Malaga's the home he desired. And Mars Delabec, my mentor and friend, said, I'm getting a wreck, son, I'm at my end. You'll be taking up quarters in my master's bunk. I suppose your first order is to clean up my junk. But may I say, and my words you just mark, he put a big, meaty hand on my shoulder. Son, when you get a bit older, you'll be captain of the Shark. Now Aunt Harmy, of course, stayed in Cadiz to tend to her ailing father, which was a very good thing, for he needed a nurse, and he could reminisce with his daughter. Lime, oh, the changes he'd made. Plus, he was learning a trade. With hammer and nails who'd signed on as well, he'd almost grown up, I'm afraid. All but 4-2, the rest of the crew signed on once again to the Shark. Our first port of call was Port Torres, for those shanghaied to tell some tall stories, to pay dowries to widows from the venerable pig, for the husbands to brag to their wives all they did, and Cap to speak of pirates our efforts had rid. How some of us rescued some women and kids, how we fought battles and storms, lost the Claudes, the Vens, the Coles, and the Warrens, through sacrifice, bravery, and glory. Lime and I couldn't wait to see Ivory and Rote, to join in the fun and see stories. With Tipper and Jack, 'twill be good to come back and see Lucas, Niganich, and all, in the Pig and the Squall, in our hometown, Port o' Torres. So, on 17 June, we embarked once again, headed for Sardinia. Total crew, 110, including 109 experienced men and 1 Miss Rosanna Lynn. Ah, life on the sea. Believe me, I find it's mighty fine, mighty fine. As a final note, I couldn't see no life for me except out on the water. I couldn't see no wife for me except that captain's daughter. 9 short years it's been since I first left Port o' Torres. Been through thick and thin with Rosanna Lynn, and we have lots more stories. Captain Morgan Harmony, The Elusive Shark. Year of our Lord, 1631. We hope you enjoyed A Lad from Sardinia, The Adventures of Morgan Harmony by Myron Ferdig, published by Ferdig Works. Also by the same author is Poet Pourri, A Labyrinth of Wandering Thought, and also published by Ferdig Works. To order either of these books, go to ferdigworks.com or email myron@ferdigworks.com. That's Ferdigworks, Ferdigwerks. Thank you very much for listening.